Hello, everyone. Happy holidays. Hope your time with your family has been warm to end up the year. But we're back with another episode of Home Cooking. You got the blessed one on the side, and as per usual, you got the chef. How you doing, Alan? How's your day going?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm just trying to find ways to get some rest during this hectic time and make the most of it.
Lockdown 2.0 version 7.
Uh,
Why don't you tell us what's on the menu for today?
yeah, so for all the listeners today, we got a bit of a sporty episode for you guys. Um, Leska is gonna say teed up because that's what we're going for. But
Yeah, we're teed up today. What do you mean?
hey, exactly. So the first thing that we're gonna touch on is oh, the NFL playoff picture because after this past weekend's games, the the playoff picture is kind of getting more clear than it was a couple weeks ago, and a lot of teams have clinched either their division or their conference. And the next thing that we're going to talk about after is, I know it's early, NBA season. Who do we think is going to take some of the year end awards? Just off the smallest of sample sizes, and just off our opinion. So, Bluska, the NFL playoff picture coming together. There's 1 week left. What are your thoughts on how it stands right now?
How it stands, as for division leaders, well, in the AFC, Chiefs, Steelers, Bills, and then you got in the AFC South right now, as it stands, you got the Titans. But I guess head to head, we'll have to figure out who gets the upper hand with the Colts. But yeah, so you got some tight races over there, especially with most of the spots are kind of filled up, but a lot of teams are sitting at 10-5. You got the Colts, the Browns, the Ravens, the Dolphins, and the
Titans.
Titans, or not, because they may come back and win. You never know. But yeah, things are looking a lot more clear on that end. But from the NFC perspective, it's still crazy because the first place is still up for grabs essentially. But Packers look that they might be able to hold on to that. The Bucks beat the Rams in a tight divisional game. The Bucks blew out the Lions, which is odd to see Tom Brady up at halftime with the Bucks. But the Redskin lost.
Redskins.
There it is. First slip up. The Washington football team lost to the Panthers. The Bears are looking alive, but what's upsetting to me is the Cardinals. Cardinals are a tough way to go. I feel like we should start there because they came in with a trade of DeAndre Hopkins. You team him up with Kyler Murray, who seemed to be an up and coming quarterback, Heisman winner. He's
Mhm.
been he's been living up to the hype, but I feel like we might have to put him in the same conversation as a Deshaun Watson type players. He can put up the stats, but can he win the big football games? What do you think's going on over there?
Well, I mean, I'm glad you brought up the Cardinals and lovely 49ers that were able to get that dub against them. But I shouldn't show. I actually shouldn't show this because apparently, like, I'm an Eagles fan and I'm pretty sad about them losing.
You're an everything fan, man. What do you got the Saints, you got the
I got the
49ers,
Dodger
the
tattoo, but
Eagles,
I
the
mean,
Dodgers.
we're not gonna talk about
Guy,
that.
this guy's living in
Um,
California.
hey man, we gotta support the brand. We gotta support you gotta support the teams that are winning. We're not a bandwagon. I mean, we're not trying to give that vibe off, but if you looked at my closet, you'd see way too many sports teams. But basically, yeah, I'm surprised by how the Cardinals have fallen. They have so many pieces on offense. Larry Fitzgerald obviously is just getting older. You got some nice running backs in Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds. Christian Kirk is another good receiver, but DeAndre Hopkins makes a good three-headed monster on that team. But yeah, Kyler Murray looked like an MVP candidate in the beginning of the season. He was putting up stats both in the passing game and the rushing game. Obviously, defensively, they're not really that great. I know that they lost Chandler Jones, Patrick Peterson. He isn't the same guy that he was a couple of years ago. They got that one draft pick too, the guy from I think Clemson, Isaiah Simmons. That Swiss Army knife. They just didn't know what position he'd play at the next level. Um, Even then, like the Cardinals play in such a tough division, but there's some games that you need to win, and they really needed to beat the 49ers to keep in contention and to have uh, that lead for the last wild card spot in the NFC. But yeah, like you compared Kyler Murray to Deshaun Watson and just picking up stats, but like I want to see Kyler in the playoffs. I'd rather him than Mitch Trubisky and the Bears. But
How about that? How about that? The Bears coming at it from the depths of the NFC North to climb back up. It's hard to believe they were 5-0 at one point, right? 5-1, I believe, or I should say. But yeah, Mitch Trubisky, David Montgomery has been running the ball really well. He's given them a new second win. But speaking of teams that weren't able to win the games that they should win, it's like the Browns. Like you put them up against the Jets today. I know they had a lot of COVID technicalities to deal with, but that's still probably the most winnable game you're gonna have all year. But in true Browns fashion, they couldn't hold up their end of the bargain. What do you think? Is there trouble over there with the Colts creeping?
oh man, yo, if the first of all, if the Browns don't make the playoffs, they're gonna be they're already a meme already. Gotta be honest, the Browns, uh, like their logo is orange, but they're still called the Browns. Honest opinion, they really should change the name. It doesn't make any sense. But anyways, the Browns, if they don't make the playoffs at their record, this is the first time they've had a winning record in years, and for them to just blow it against a team that has so much turmoil in the Jets, like their coach is gonna get fired. They just fired their defensive coordinator like after blowing the game against the Raiders. Um, a team that was on its way to getting a franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, but blew that by winning games. Yeah, the
Here's
Browns.
Browns. You're still the Browns.
The Browns are
Back
the Browns, man.
back
And
to back to tanking.
well, I mean, to be honest, I'm gonna flip it back to you, Bosca. And they're playing the Steelers next week. Do you think the Steelers are gonna bench their starters and stuff to give the Browns a chance, or are they gonna just like go for the jugular and just like the Browns will be the Browns, and even at 10-6, you're not making the playoffs?
Man, I with the Steelers, the thing I guess they're not first place, so they won't get that extra week off. So they'll be playing as a second seed, which is an NFL and U. So I feel like they'll play a couple of their guys still, maybe not as competitive, but it would be like the ultimate like
Yeah.
flex of a muscle if the Steelers can, and they haven't been playing their best football either, considering they had to come back to beat the Colts today. They were down big at halftime, and they came off of losing like a lot of big games, especially with last week against the Bengals. And we all know what happened with Mr. TikTok himself, Mr. Juju Smith Schuster.
Corvette,
But
Corvette. No.
but yeah, with that in mind, I think they still want to come out strong in that game next week and still make a statement because there's still some doubts over there because they're a gritty team, a great defense, but when you got when you're going with the in the but when you're going into the playoffs with your last 4 or 5 games, you have a losing record. That's never something that you should be proud of. So they should be out there playing football.
Yeah, I think that it's so important, especially in a sport where you only have one playoff game per se, like win or go home. The hotter team is the one that's, I guess, the most important thing at the end of the day versus like, yeah, like look at the Chiefs, right? They're 14-1, but
Mhm.
um yeah, like they could win the next game or not. But if they're not going into the playoffs like a struggling, like look at I don't know, like look at the Ravens, they've been going on a bit of a streak, or the
Mhm.
Buffalo Bills, like these teams that are coming into the playoffs with lengthy winning streaks, like they're the hot ones. Like you saw it in I think even last year, you look at the Titans, right? Like no
Mhm.
one really expected the Titans to do much in the playoffs, but they made it. They made it to the
AFC,
fucking finals.
yeah, they did.
They shook Lamar Jackson. Um, and no one expected that, right? Like it just blew my mind. But it is what it is. But
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So, but with that in mind, to wrap it all up next week, who do you see gets the out on the AFC side? We got a lot of teams that are going to be 10-5. You brought up the Browns, and then the Colts are playing Jaguars next week, so they can get if they go hold that up to 11-5, and then the Browns go down to 10-6, and I feel like that right there. But what do you think?
it's interesting because the Buffalo Bills are playing the Dolphins next week,
Hmm.
and the Bills are only one game behind the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I don't know if they do have the tiebreaker on that one. So, um, if well, obviously, I feel like the Colts are going to beat the Jaguars, but
Hmm.
you honestly never know when it comes to division games.
Yeah.
But I see the Colts winning that game. I see the Bills. The Bills are good, and they're going to beat the Dolphins. So I think that's where you're going to see a bit of a flip of a switch. I don't know the tiebreakers between the Dolphins and the Browns, but
Hmm.
depends on if the Steelers rest guys. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's Dolphins out, Colts in.
Hmm. And then you got the Ravens closing up on the Bengals, so I hope that should be another must win, but you never know anymore. And the NFC, I think the point I want to go. What team in the NFC West remains supreme? I know the Seahawks clinched the division. The Rams are 9-6, but you still got again Arizona there. Who do you think squeezes in that seventh spot between the Bears and the Cardinals?
Oh, I wanna see the Cardinals get in. I want to see color in the playoffs. It's just the Browns. I mean, sorry, the Bears kind of. I don't know. They're kind of like fake to me. Like I just
Yeah,
like I mean
I don't
they
know.
started off hot and then they struggled and they were like, oh, what are we gonna? We don't have a quarterback or anything. Super Foles in there for like a couple games, but um, they're a hot team. Like we said, if you're hot heading into the playoffs, you're dangerous. No,
Mhm.
regardless of your
Exactly.
record. But I want to see Kyler in the playoffs.
I'd like to see Kyler in playoffs, mostly just because I want Hopkins to just get something to be happy about because he's been tweeting a lot, so all year. But to wrap that up, I'm with you. I'd want to see Kyler there, and especially over the Bears, who I've watched some Bears games and they're not exciting at all. And we've seen Hail Marys we've seen all the highlights from the Cardinals. So let's bring it in. Come on, Goodell, help us out.
Sounds good.
But but with that, moving on to our second topics, awards in the NBA. Way too early awards for the NBA. So I think we're gonna cover the Rookie of the Year, MVP, and Coach of the Year. And I think it's nice to have basketball back. It's been a weird year, but seeing LeBron out there again, year 18 is kind of nerve wracking because I feel the my age creeping up behind me. But if he's shining at that age, who knows what we'll be at. But I wanna get your first thoughts on Rookie of the Year because I think you know where I'm gonna go with that. But let's hear it.
I'm scared because I feel like we're gonna have the same one. Um,
Ooh,
I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be Lamelo.
LaMelo.
Actually, no, no, sorry. Actually, I'm gonna
Oh,
take that back. I'm gonna take that back because I feel like you're gonna take Lamelo, but what I should be talking about, yo, James Wiseman.
mm,
Um, even like I think he dropped like 18 and 9 the other day, and Steve Kerr has been talking about James Wiseman as another piece to their big three of Clay, Steph, and Draymond. Like he's already been integrated. This guy is the new era like NBA center. He can
mm.
guard the rim. He can uh, run
Can
the
shoot.
outlets,
He can
and
shoot.
he can shoot. Like I want to see him versus Embiid. Although Embiid's probably gonna men against boy
Mm.
like abuse him, but um yeah, no, he's been surprisingly well for a guy who has only played he only played like 2 or 3 college games before he got suspended. So like this kid is new to like the
Mm.
world, and he's killing it in the NBA. So.
Oh, for sure.